Today's episode of Mob Rules brought to you by 25% More Dave. And that is a lot of Dave. All right, yeah, John with you here, as always, joined by
Danny.
And
Bad Dave.
Yeah, Bad Dave, because we are joined as well by a very special guest. That would be Chaos Dave, Dave from Miniwargaming. How are you doing, Dave?
I'm doing excellent. How are you?
Doing much better now. We finally have some quality Dave attention.
Oh, man, it's so nice to have a good Dave, like just a great, awesome Dave instead of the second tier Dave that we have.
Second tier.
Whoa!
You take what you can get, and you like it, sir.
Well, it's Alaska, so
That's all you get.
yeah.
It's crazy, man.
So, Dave, Chaos Dave, of course, you are one of the founding members of Miniwargaming, probably one of the first and if not longest running YouTube channels to deal with wargaming. Tell us a little bit about what you do for the hobby for maybe the one or two people who listen to us, like my mom, maybe Danny's mom,
Right.
who doesn't use the YouTubes.
Yeah, my mom stopped listening.
Okay, well, as you said, we have a YouTube channel. We create video battle reports covering Warhammer 40K, Age of Sigmar 30K. So sometimes some specialist games too, like Warcry, Kill Team, Apocalypse. That's primarily what we do.
I do love your Gorka Morka stuff as someone who was obsessed with that game in the mid-90s.
Awesome. You know what? I love how you just mentioned that because we have a Gorka Morka event coming up, which I'll be hosting coming in October. The second week of October. And the Goth Rockers. So recently, to completely segue and get distracted because I speak the language of distraction.
Right.
They came up for the grand opening of the bunker, the main wargaming bunker, and they came and they were goth rocking out. It was pretty awesome. And I asked them afterwards because I knew I was going to do another season of Gorka Morka. I'm like, hey, would you guys be down if my war band was the Goth Rockers and my characters were you guys and your instruments were the weapons that you guys use? And they're like, yeah, let's do that. I'm like, okay, cool. All right, done. Let's do it. So that's what's going to happen. So that'll be my war band. And then there's going to be 7 other people that'll participate in it because it's me, Luca's also filming, and then we have another guy that's local. So 10 people in total.
That's amazing.
Totally jealous.
That's really cool.
That's awesome.
My favorite truck from Gorka Morka that I made in the 90s because I would have like terrible luck with my models falling out. And the way the game worked, if you haven't played it before, is if your models fell out, then they actually fell out in game and took damage. Yeah. So I built a Lehman Russ and then took a grinder and took out the back kind of half to make it like a pickup truck almost and turned it almost into a bucket for orcs and just kind of threw a couple boarding planks on there and just kind of it was like a barrel of monkeys for orcs.
Wow, I could totally picture it. That's what I love about it. I love it. You could do anything for it and anything goes.
And I do remember, like in the main box, that cardboard orc fort.
Oh, yeah.
Mine is
a classic.
Completely destroyed now.
Sure.
But at the time, it was just amazing. And like I think, like I said, 15-year-old me or whatever I was at the time loved that game so much. And I won like 40 of the glyphs from GW's campaign. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Look at you.
I was the one who cared at Games Workshop Aberdeen.
Very awesome. Yeah. Cool. So Mini Wargaming, that's what we do. We run events at the Mini Wargaming Bunker, which is an 11,300 square foot facility where we host people, host games. People can stay in the bunker rooms. They're themed like our studios. And we produce 18 to 20 videos a week. And we have a membership called the Mini Wargaming Vault where people can pay to see exclusive content. And we've been doing it for 12 years. We happen to be very fortunate. We are the largest subscribed YouTube channel in the wargaming industry currently. I say currently because Games Workshop proper, they will surpass us. We've looked at the numbers on Social Blade. They're rising very fast now that they are actually making videos and have been doing for a couple of years now. We just happened to start at a time when YouTube was new and we are grandfathered in. We certainly don't claim to be the best gamers out there. We're just a bunch of dudes having fun. And we're lucky to be where we are.
You know what I super like about your guys' channel is you take a real narrative aspect to your games a lot of the time. Where right now, kind of a lot of the way battle reports are kind of shot and shown is kind of like top-down ITC mission, kind of very standard set, which while entertaining in its own way, I do love like all the different campaigns you guys come up with. You come up with these great characters and backstories that kind of continue throughout the years. And then like this, I remember this well, the giant kind of side scroller beat 'em up board you guys built as well.
Oh yeah. That's certainly our. If there was one thing that set us apart from the rest, it would certainly be the narrative campaigns that we produce, because those are unique, and they're fun. I mean, we have the most fun doing that. It's different than the regular games, and they're evergreen in the sense that you can watch narrative campaigns from previous editions and still be entertained by them because you're following the story.
Sure.
More so than the rules and than the current meta. Which, as you said, right, it's fun in a different way, but that's just what we prefer. That's our play style. Casual gaming, narrative flair to it.
So what would you say your favorite narrative campaign has been that you guys have ever kind of put forward?
Thus far, oh man, there's so many.
Something to do with Blood Bowl? It's probably Blood Bowl.
No, I said
I mean,
favorite narrative.
okay, well, I mean, Gorka Morka's up there, man.
Yeah.
That's up there. I recently did a Fallout narrative campaign using 40K rules.
Oh, that's cool.
That's cool.
So that was so much fun. And there was, so the company that actually makes Fallout Wasteland Warfare, Modifius, they offered to allow us to use the miniatures from the game, but on the condition that we use their rule set, which makes sense, right? They want to promote their game.
Sure.
But I had to do I had to really make a hard decision there, just because their models are awesome and they're exact, right? But our audience is 40K primarily. About 75% of our viewership is 40K. So I thought, people watch the campaign, they're going to have to learn a new rule set by watching the game. Whereas if they're watching a 40K game, they can just enjoy the narrative. And so I went that route, and it was well received. And so I'm glad that I went that route. And that is one of my favorite campaigns that I've done, because there was role-playing elements to it. One of the 10 missions was actually resolved just by strict role-playing. I just used the leadership as the rolling is the rule. If they passed for leadership, then they would pass the social tests.
Nice.
And that was fun. And so that's actually spawned a new type of campaign that we are now producing. And that's immersive narrative campaigns. And the next one that's coming up is the Resident Evil themed one, where people are also characters from the Resident Evil franchise. There's live actors that are interacting with the people outside of the actual tabletop game. And so it's more of an experience than it is just strictly a tabletop gaming experience. So it's more to it.
I think you can actually get Bruce Campbell. He's pretty cheap these days.
So you guys go through this like amazing process to write these campaigns, and obviously kind of coming, I'm assuming, from like a role-playing background to get all these different branching paths and kind of figure out where it's going to go. Was there ever a time that a game or a battle went in such a way that it really just messed up the rest of how you saw the campaign going? And you're like,
yes.
Oh, I really wish that you guys hadn't done that. Why can't you just roll a 2+?
Yes. I mean, the answer to that is yes. I mean, there's been many times where just missions have been cut short just because of fortunate dice rolling, and it's a big learning curve. It took many years to kind of figure out the best, or the way in which we find the best way to craft a narrative, because you got to be flexible. You can't be too rigid. If you prepare something in your mind and you want the narrative to go a certain way, and then a dice roll don't agree with you, then you're screwed. And the things that you have prepared in the future don't work out, and you got to scrap it all. So yeah, we've certainly run into that a lot.
All right.
That's awesome.
Super cool. So you are famed in your section for being kind of like a master of chaos, and chaos is kind of your chosen section of 40K games here. What drew you to that army originally?
That's a good question. So about 12 years ago, when we first started up, that we had a gaming club, and people were collecting other armies. There was orcs being played, Tyranids, Space Marines. No one was playing Chaos Space Marines. And so I looked at the model, and it was 100% pure, unadulterated rule of cool. I looked at the model, and I just fell in love with the way they looked. And I thought, you know what? This is my army. I had no idea what they did, how good they were, how bad they were. None of that mattered to me. It's just the way they looked, their aesthetic looked so cool. It was a Chaos Space Marine Global Starter set. The one with the Defiler and the Chaos Lord and Terminator armor, some Khorne Berserkers, Chaos Space Marines, and a Rhino. And that's what it was. So it's just the aesthetic.
Yep.
Yeah, all beautiful current models.
Just out of curiosity, did you think when you picked that army that you would never get a new model for it until 2019?
Until
2019.
Until 2019.
New
That I would
Chaos
never get
Marines? Yeah.
That I would collect more models.
You'd be stuck with the same models until 2019.
Bad Dave is making a joke about the slow updates to the Chaos Army. Let me cut in laughter here.
Yeah.
You don't have
So-
that save.
Do you have the crickets?
Yeah, you don't have that crickets either.
No, I just have the White Claw sound.
All right.
All right.
That's
All right,
fine.
cool. That works.
Oh, nice. You do that live. I wasn't sure. When I was in your podcast before, I'm like, oh man, they must go back and edit that. But no, that's right out. That's live on this podcast.
yeah.
It's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
He's only got 2 buttons on there.
It's
He
a little-
rotates whatever makes him happy.
It's a little behind the curtain, but I used to have like this big setup with this board and a preamp for my mic, and I had to have all these plugins and like 20,000 cables.
2 laptops.
A laptop as well, and like this year I upgraded to just like a specific podcasting board that has buttons on it that lets me edit not at all, and it makes me very happy.
He doesn't even look like a bad DJ anymore.
No, yeah, before I looked like a very bad DJ. Now I just look like a bad podcaster.
Oh man, you got to send me a link to one of those. I think it'd be fun to play around with one.
Oh yeah, heck yeah. I'll send that.
But
in.
yeah, to answer your question, Dave, that sucks. Like Khorne Berserkers, they need to be updated, right?
Yes, they do.
And so,
I still
what I
think
tell
they look
people? I
good.
say just use Blood Warriors. Just convert Blood Warriors. They look way better as Khorne Berserkers.
That's true.
Yeah, like the scale is right and better. The model's more dynamic, and just put
I
both
want
pistols on
to
them.
assume positive intent in GW's part, and when they said I want better Khorne Berserkers, they're like, rules? Okay, good, we got it.
Yep.
And they just keep buffing those.
Their rules are great.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I love how they attack twice. That's awesome.
Shock
Right.
Assault, or was it Terror Drop, or whatever the heretic
Yeah,
version
Shock
of that
Assault,
rule is
yeah.
now.
That's amazing.
Infinite
And then World
Hatred.
Eaters as well.
Sure.
So World Eaters plus Shock Assault. That's awesome.
It's a lot of attacks.
That's a lot. Yeah.
GW is going to be selling like a multi-part plastic bucket to put dice into for rolling your close combat attacks.
You have to build the dice roller.
Yeah.
It's like one of those coin machines where it sorts the dice out as they
Yeah.
come in. You
Forge
just have
World
to pour
doors.
pour a bucket. Oh yeah, it has Forge World doors, of course.
They're not going to make
Favorite Legion.
not going to make new Berserker models, but they'll give you a bucket for all the new attacks you get.
I've seen some really great Blood Warrior conversions too. Like it's not a super difficult conversion to make, and like they look really phenomenal, especially if you
Yes.
use like the Chaos Marine legs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they don't have.
But honestly, that Age of Sigmar range has so
Oh, man.
many good bases for models for
Yeah.
40k. It's ridiculous.
It's
Those
true.
what are they? Are they Bloodborne? Is that what they're called? Or Blood Warriors? I don't know. Whatever. They look awesome.
Yeah.
Blood Warriors, Blood Reavers.
Yeah. There you go.
Blood something.
Take the hammers out of Iron Golems.
Blood or skull or iron. I mean, it's all one of those things, right? As corn. Combine those together in some words.
That's right. Gore. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Don't forget
Yeah.
gore.
Yeah.
I imagine that GW has like a set of like almost love dice that they roll, except
There you go.
instead of like, all the love stuff on it, it has like gore and blood and rain and skull. And they just roll dice, and whenever a new Kuna comes out, it's a gore fiend.
Where they play like corn twister,
Left hand gore.
right hand slaughter.
It does make it tough sometimes because when we do the bat reps, we do our best to try to call out what units are doing what. Instead of saying this unit is shooting at this unit, we do our best to say these Khorne Berserkers are shooting their plasma pistols at these Astra Militarum infantry, so that people who are listening and painting and they're kind of listening in the background, they can kind of follow along as well.
Sure.
Whereas if you hear like this guy shooting that guy shooting that guy, you're completely lost. You have to be watching it, and it just makes it better listening experience and viewing experience when you hear the names of the units, and it also helps the people, the content producers, to actually learn the names of the weapons and everything.
Sure.
But it does make it hard when the names are so similar. Yeah. Oh, these gore-soaked blood fiends are.
No. Those are blood gore-soaked fiends. Someone points out in a YouTube comment 20 or 30 times, like one after the other.
And the other thing too is like they have models that are so similar. Like they have blood crushers and skull crushers.
Oh yeah.
Ugh.
It's like yeah. So you mess it up all the time, and yeah.
If you freeze blood, you can crush it.
That's a weird.
This is true.
That's a motivational T-shirt if ever I've seen it. So you said you helped start Miniwargaming 12 years ago here. What was the drive? What kind of led you guys to be like, hey, we're going to go on YouTube and we're going to film battle reports of these scale miniature models?
So so it started with myself and my business partner Matt Glanfield. So it started with the two of us, and I had a landscaping business at the time. He had an internet marketing business at the time, and so I approached him. I said, hey, let's do a business together. And then he said, why don't we do this? So why don't we sell miniatures online? Okay, cool. Because we had played Lord of the Rings from Games Workshop, Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
And so it was fun, right? And I gravitated to the dark side, Forces of Darkness, of course.
Sure.
And so we started that. And because he had a internet marketing business and it was serious in nature, he didn't want to be on videos at first in case it wasn't successful. He didn't want people to not take him seriously. Like, oh, well, this guy's playing games and he's teaching us how to make money online. Well, we're not going to trust that guy. So he just didn't want to make videos. But after about 9 months or so, he saw how much fun I was having with it. And he's like, okay, fine. I'll make videos too. And so, we just started making more videos. And the idea at first was to generate traffic to the website. So people would buy the product, and whatever we would play with on the videos, people would buy more of that on the web store. And we did that for a number of years. And we actually started with a blog. It was a blog and the store. And then we made videos and terrain tutorials. Because I was a landscaper before I made terrain tutorials, it was a natural progression and evolution to what I could do on the miniature tabletop. So that was fun. And then after a while, we started making battle reports because we saw other channels making bat reps. And it was Blue Table Painting. I remember this distinctly. They had 1,800 subscribers. And at the time I thought, man, that's like a small hick town watching your videos. That's how many people it is. One day, we will have that many subscribers one day. We'll have 1,800, and it's going to be awesome. It'll be the best. I remember thinking that. It was great. And then when we reached 500, I was like, wow, look, that's 500 people. They're watching our videos. So cool. So awesome. It was the best feeling ever. And then it just kind of slowly, organically grew. And we made sure not to do anything that would penalize us. Like we know of some other YouTuber channels that kind of got bots and artificially grew their channels, and they're close friends of ours, right? So unfortunately they were cut out. YouTube doesn't like that, so they like organic growth because they see that, they trust it, that's what they want, that's what they recommend other people watch, and that's something that we've always been really strong for. Is just create content that people want to watch, and it will organically grow. And if the quality is there, then people will want to see more. And we're in a constant state of innovation because we make tweaks every week. We make tweaks, and the evolution of the battle report certainly evolved, because before it was recap bat reps, we would just show the recaps of the turns.
Sure.
And then from there, we went to filming the entire game, every dice roll. And at this point in time, YouTube only allowed 10-minute videos. And so imagine this, if you could. When you watch a bat rep, it would take you 6 weeks to watch a bat rep because it would come out in 6 parts. So it'd be 1 part per week. And the time that we switched from that to being an all-in-one video was like, man, we're going to have to make a lot more content to keep up with demand, because here we are getting away with so little. And so I remember that it was a huge change for us, but it turned out to be so much better.
So when you release in like 10-minute like max video size, does that mean like your bat reps are going out and you're like part 17 of 32?
Yeah. I think the largest ever, the record is 12 parts, but that's still a lot, man. That's too much.
That is a lot.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah. Yeah. And we could tell by the view count too, right? The first video at the time, right? The first video had like 1,000 views, and the second one, like 700. And then it would drop, and the last one has like 100 views. And so like people I don't even know why they would watch all the way. That's just like mind numbing to go through all of that. But that was the way YouTube was at the time. And so we kind of didn't really have a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it evolved. And I remember at first, because of the way Matt and I are, we're very different from each other. We have different strengths, and we certainly complement each other. And he's a genius. He would never admit to this, but he is an absolute genius in what he does. He's got a mathematical mind, and he's able to see systems and numbers, and he's very good at the rules of the game. And he has the gift of gab, and he's able to talk like nonstop and get all the rules right. And so what we did at first when we recorded the battle reports is we would strip all the audio, and then we would narrate what happened afterwards, like a sportscaster, right? And so, he was doing this, and he was doing a great job at it. Myself, man, I was horrible at this. I could not do this. And I was like stumbling my way through it, and it would take me forever to edit because I would have to make sure that I would get the rules right, and that I was actually explaining stuff correctly. And then I would have to say it in a way that wasn't boring. I was trying to be entertaining. And then I just went, you know what? Screw this. I'm not going to do this. I'm just going to keep the actual audio from the game, and it's going to be the actual reactions of the people when I'm playing against them. So when there's a bad dice roll, I'm going to put the camera in his face and see his pain. And so that's what I did, right? Because I did this style, and I called it the banter bat rep because you actually hear us bantering back and forth. And then he had the beat map bat rep style where he was voiceovering everything. Eventually, we converted over to the banter style because we had since learned that that's what the audience wanted, because they found it more entertaining to hear the actual reactions in real time of the players. And also because not everyone has the gift of gab like Matt and is able to do what GW now currently does when they cast their games, which is a very, very hard job to constantly cast every dice roll and every action and know the rules and to be accurate and make it entertaining. That's very hard. It's very hard to do.
I don't know if you saw Honest Wargamers coverage of last weekend's major that went out, but that blew me away with the quality of that.
Oh man, the transitions. I was really hoping for some star wipes, but like we got some good ones in there, and like the overlays were amazing. I'm really excited for the future of like
40K streaming in general.
Well, just
40K streaming, yeah.
40K media is awesome, and like it's only going to get better. I'm really excited to see where it goes from here.
I mean, I love to watch Warhammer TV's coverage and their bat reps and stuff on live stream, and I've even been on their stream, which I believe you guys have as well.
Yes,
so, So
I think
they just like Dave's, John.
Even going back to what Chaos Dave was saying about like how they would make the bat reps in order to promote product and kind of make sales in the units used. Didn't you learn a fun little tidbit about a unit used against you during your bat rep for Warhammer TV, Dave?
I did not. However, sales of Baneblades went up by 280%, according to Martin.
As a Baneblade during Dave's battle report on Warhammer TV just ripped Dave's army apart for like 3 turns.
It's not true. Just Redemptors, which we've covered, are the worst new dreadnought they've ever made.
They're
best looking, worst game, worst rules.
Really?
They need an invuln. Their new points, like a 163 kitted out. They're passable now, but I think we were talking before when we came on. The Invictor suit is like the more skilled little brother better. That the parents love way more.
Yeah.
And the older brother, Redemptor Dreadnought's like, I'm still here, guys.
Yeah, when are you moving out?
Stop talking about me behind my back.
I love it. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's a beautiful looking model.
Oh yeah, no
100%.
question.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
See, Chaos Dave, you love Chaos.
I love Chaos.
All about Primaris to the point where I have collected every single model they have released. If there's a special edition available only at GW stores, which is impossible to get up here in Alaska where we're at, I contact all of my contacts all over the world, and I pay somebody to get one for me and send it to me. I am not missing a single model they have released that has the word Primaris in it.
The only thing he's collected more than Primaris Marines is losses.
That's not true. I actually have like a 75% win rate with Primaris.
Yeah, I mean, Primaris, the stats are there. No, who brings regular Marines when they can bring Primaris in their troops choices? It just doesn't make sense.
Well, now,
man,
everybody.
Yeah.
But before.
Yeah.
Well, Chaos, but they can't help it.
Yeah, and we're not salty about this.
No, Chaos Marines are cool. I like Chaos Marines.
Chaos Marines are cool. Yeah, and they have Legion traits, man.
Heck
The Red Corsairs are so good right now.
Oh.
Yeah, they're pretty solid.
I've seen a lot of discussion about Red Corsair battalions with just going in and buffing them up stuff, changing things up. You know, it's not all about Lord Discordance anymore. You know,
I don't know about that, but you know,
that being said, those are ridiculous too. Those are ridiculous.
They're a healthy part of this delicious chaos army.
Just not to brag or anything, but Danny, John, and I might have been the only 3 people who saw the Lord Discordant, saw the rules, and went, "That thing is gonna wreck face." And so many people hated it.
12 wounds, it's trash. No, it's not.
It's not. There's no way it's trash.
But Chaos Dave, so you say right now kind of Red Corsairs are really hitting the spot. What's kind of like your great like core Chaos list right now that you just love running?
So I think right now I'm definitely in a Alpha Legion phase with the -1 to hit on the Havocs, and then you have Mark and Nurgle on them, and you have a Sorcerer, put Miasma of Pestilence on them, and then you got a Dark Apostle nearby with the Benediction of Darkness. So it's hard to hit them, and you put them in cover, so their cover save is better. So that's fun. Having those guys with missile launchers in the back shooting up, and then having Khorne Berserkers in the face of the enemy, it's just a fun thing to see, because you look at the face of the opponent, and they're like, what do I do? Do I shoot at the guys in front of my face, or do I try to kill the guys in the back that are really hard to hit? So right now, that is the thing that I like doing the most. And the Red Corsair, so it's a split list between Alpha Legion and Red Corsairs. Because the Alpha Legion and the more where they came from stratagem, which is ridiculous, I just have groups of 20 Chaos Space Marines, because you can. And I kit them out with the best weapons possible, because you can redeploy at full strength. And why wouldn't you put the best weapons in the unit?
Sure.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and they can charge after assault, so I mark a Khorne them, and then I Icon of Wrath them, so they can reroll their charge rolls, and then you got a blob of 20 Chaos Marines that are just in the face of the opponent as the Alpha Legion Havocs are shooting. That's what I'm liking right now. Is that the most competitive list? Probably not. Definitely not. But it's fun. It's fun for me, and the combos are fun too.
Well, that's like 90% of your game, right? I mean, regardless of like what the style of army you want to play is, you want to play something that you're going to enjoy putting on the table and moving around and seeing, especially. So I totally feel you there.
Yeah, I tend to have way more fun playing stuff that I enjoy rather than stuff that's scientifically proven to be quote unquote good.
Yeah,
I mean,
for 25% of the time to work 100% of the time. Yeah, totally.
Or here's another theory: it works 50% of the time. It either works or it doesn't.
That's fair.
Yeah,
I mean,
because
it's like the dice rolls. It's like on a 6+. Oh, it's 50%. It's either going to get a 6 or it doesn't.
Let's see. John went 2 and 3 with his garbage list. And
I did
1 and 2 in another tournament. So I don't think it's 50%. I think it's That's closer to 25.
Let's not keep count here, Dave.
Oh, no, I have to.
No, so my garbage chaos list I've been running recently is being 90 Plague Bearers, 27 Nurgling bases, a tree, a Poxbringer.
Tree.
Yeah, the Fetulent Narmal.
The poop tree is very important to John's strategy.
The poop tree is very important to me. So I have Fetulent Narmal, I have the Spoilpox Scrivener, and a Beast of Nurgle. who I call Charles, because he was in charge in the back of the objective. He just hung out at the back of the table because I had 37 points spare with nothing to do with.
And then he would hum the theme song to that particular show, Charles in Charge, and like get it stuck in everybody's head at the tournament. And like it was terrible because we were all like silently, like it kept going, it just wouldn't stop. Like he just hummed the first couple of bars, but that got stuck in every single person's head.
It was wonderful. But yeah, that list, I beat a Tau gun line with it, which was
What?
every single game I played with this list. I get a first turn charge with Plague Bearers or Nurglings,
Right.
which
Really?
is super satisfying because I just the entire center of the board is filled up with Nurglings, so you can't Alpha Strike or Deep Strike anywhere near me.
Right.
You chain the Plague Bearers around the tree so they can advance and assault in the same turn. So like everyone's like, oh yeah, it's just a bunch of slow Plague Bearers. I'm like, well, no, they're movement 7 plus 1 for the musician, plus they can advance, plus they can charge.
Yep.
It was pretty.
Yeah.
Two of my big losses were against like Eldar Airwings. We're like, what guns do you have? And I'm like, yes. this dude sneezes occasionally. but that's about it. But yeah, that was super fun. And like I said, I kind of got it because the gimmick is I wanted as many models as possible. And so I'm like, let's do that. Now I've gone the other way. I have like a Space Marine list I'm working on, which is just as many dreadnoughts as I can fit in a list as possible.
Yeah. It's fun. It sounds absolutely ridiculous, but it sounds absolutely fun.
Yeah. And
that's cool. So how many can you fit? Just out of curiosity.
so my current list I'm running right now is going to be a battalion with a Phobos captain and a Primaris lieutenant, and then 2 sniper scout squads and a tactical marine squad, and then I have a spearhead with Carib Cullen the Risen and a tech marine, then 2 Redemptor dreadnoughts, then 2 Leviathans with storm cannons, and then 2 double autocannon mortis dreads.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So Dave, I want you to, Chaos Dave, I want you to know that I walked in here today and in front of my mic, he set up his entire army in front of me in an attempt to intimidate me.
And it worked.
It didn't. I laughed. I said they looked cool.
Will it work? No, the fact I'm using Redemptor dreadnoughts as charge screens is not a good sign.
I'm screening my army with Redemptor dreadnoughts.
But
oh man, it's fun. So I didn't know you guys were in Alaska.
Yeah,
Yep,
we're up in Anchorage here.
That's why we're only 17th and not higher on the podcast list.
or lower as we get
that's
sympathy listens from people
true.
being like,
There we
Alaskans have electricity.
Oh,
We get
that's nice.
That's
of them.
crazy.
We get a lot of people from Siberia.
Sure. Our Russian audience is huge because we can see them.
So what's crazy is like we'll film like these little skits and stuff occasionally, and I wanted to do this whole thing where we were making fun of Dave for having kind of loving Primaris Marines. So we would burn the old Chaos Space Marine Codex and burn this little trashed out repulsor.
Space Marine Codex.
Oh, sorry, the Space Marine Codex. And the little repulsor that we have that's kind of trashed from a couple other things we're doing. We're like, we're going to wait till it's night, and then I'm going to burn it, and it's going to look really cool as we're like peering over the flame and saying this incantation to it. So that like afterwards we'll mess it up Evil Dead style, and then the new Chaos book will be like the new Space Marine book will be even better. But because it's Alaska, we were filming at like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and it was like bright sunshine. So it just looks like we're having this barbecue, but using kind of codexes for fuel.
Awesome. I love it. Man, that's got to be, I mean, you guys live there. I'm sure you're used to this, but to me, that sounds so foreign to have sunlight at that time.
It's crazy.
At 2 a.m.? Yeah.
Wow.
That was not at 2 a.m.
No, but it does. during the solstice, you get sunlight at 2 a.m.
It's crazy.
That's
Like
true.
I'll go out of state for work, and I'll go to these places, and like 7, 8 o'clock, it's dark, and I'm like, I'm scared. It's really dark. I'm not used to this. It's July.
Yeah, that's cool. And you know what? That actually reminds me. I plan on having this gathering of podcasters.
Oh, I thought we were going to say of juggalos, and then I got excited.
Nobody got excited about that.
It'll be at the Miniwargaming bunker, and this is an official invitation for you guys to
awesome.
come up, or come on over. Rather, to come up would be the North Pole.
Maybe down. I think down.
Yeah.
I think,
down and to the left.
Yeah, sideways.
And then to the left. Yeah, I think that would be great because with the podcast, I've personally just started to listen to podcasts. That's how I found you guys, and
we're still really sorry about that.
And you guys are humble because you say these things about yourselves, but in reality, you're incredibly entertaining, and that's why I listen to you guys. And I think your listeners feel the same way. I'm sure they do. And so I would love to have you guys up for the gathering of podcasters at the Mini Wargaming Bunker to cross podcast and to have this massive beacon of Vox casting. And this is where we fill in all the rest of the words. So
I was going to say,
we get you.
Do you remember the part where John doesn't want to edit anything? You have to actually finish that sentence.
I was going to say, Ghostbusters told me not to cross the beacons, or that it would be dangerous.
Don't cross the streams.
Don't cross the streams.
Yeah, but no, we would love to. We would love to go to that.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
And I know you were talking earlier about when you guys started Mini Wargaming, and you would look at your numbers and things. And I know, like when I started the podcast, like 3 years ago or 4 years ago, like I would look when I was like, 20 people have downloaded this. Why? And kind of continuing to see the growth and everything is just it's weird and it's humbling and it's I don't know. It's like it's an indescribable feeling to know that thousands of people are listening to you make really bad sound effects about like White Claw and making random jokes.
I still think your White Claw, we're no longer a Four Loco podcast. We're a White Claw podcast now. It's still one of your best videos you ever came up with.
It really is. Yeah. It's
pretty solid.
Yeah.
You guys are on YouTube too.
Yeah, we have our little YouTube channel.
Not to brag, but we did just crest 2,000 subs, Dave. So we're coming for you. Just as a heads up.
Yeah, we surpassed that 1,800 subs that you were very proud
of. And all it took was review copies and a really well done review video of a codex.
Yeah, that's just it, right? Being current and relevant.
Oh yeah,
It helps that we actually do. So most of our review stuff is set down. Me and Danny sit down on Friday before the video has to drop because we're in Alaska. So therefore, we don't get the review stuff until the day before.
More or less most of the time.
Yep.
It's a Friday afternoon. Postman drops it by, kind of a thing. We're like, all right, well, let's do what we can do.
Danny drops
it's worked
it to
out
me.
pretty good.
I pass it off to him. He goes home, studies it. Then I show up at his house with a camera, a bunch of lights, and some ideas about what we're gonna do. And then we just sit down and banter about it. And the next thing I know, we've got people all over saying it's the best that they've seen. No offense or anything, by the way, Dave, because I know you guys do review stuff as well.
I mean, I think he has tens of thousands of people who he's okay with not thinking that.
I will admit there's like 3 or 4 of the channels, the much bigger channels like yourself. There's Guerrilla Wargaming and somebody else that gets their copies, and they do their drops right about the same time as because the embargo lifts at X time, we can finally start talking about it again. So I'm sitting there usually right until 0 hour editing the video and putting it all together and getting it up there and having it crash and then starting over and doing it again. And I have a good time with it. It makes me laugh. I throw in little graphics that don't mean anything, and we make references to stuff like in the Space Marine Codex, we kept talking about how Black Templars didn't exist. It's not a real thing. So I got to make a tiny little Black Templar that with a big Ghostbusters no across it that would pop up every time we mention it. You guys are more of an all over view of the book itself, and we look at it strictly from like an ITC competitive standpoint for the most part. And I think that helps us a lot. With that.
Well, it helps to get a narrow focus, right?
Right.
Which, man, when we got that new Vigilus book, like Vigilus 2, Electric Boogaloo, we were so excited about the Chaos stuff. Like, it got me on a Chaos hype for at least, 3 or 4 months. I didn't talk or look at most anything else pretty much.
Yeah.
So
Harvey World Climber, amazing model.
Yes. He's great.
Harvey. That's his name now.
So John couldn't remember Harkin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ever.
And the whole name. I couldn't remember the whole name.
So-
It's like, what's the guy with the spear and the jump pack? What is that? Harvey World Claimer? Yes, it's
Harvey Wallbanger.
Harvey World Claimer, John.
That's it. So I just lean into it now and just accept who I am.
Well, and we just butcher names left and right.
Yeah,
So,
that's
Have you used him yet, Dave? Chaos Dave? Have you used him?
I have not used him
Okay.
yet.
amazing
How
model.
how
though.
is he?
He's okay. John used him, right?
He's decidedly okay. And he makes an okay unit sort of better.
Yeah, nice. I mean, Raptors are all right.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
okay. Honestly, I think in this new meta where everything has shock assault, I think Harkin
Oh,
World
yeah,
Claimer
sure.
and Raptors and shock assault is a really sleeper combo that's going to be really good. Because not everyone, like, I find that right now we're in sort of in a gotcha 40K we're playing, where people look at your army and like, okay, I know how to deal with, say, Chaos Dave, I've played against you a bunch. I know this is how you do your Havocs. I know this is how you do your Corn Berserkers. But if you have this random unit show up, I'm like, yeah, I have Harkin World Claimer and some Raptors. They're just jump pack guys. They're like, oh, well, I don't quite know how to handle those.
What's the trick?
What's the trick? But I think the amount of dice that you can roll out, and if you're like Death to the False Emperor as well, adding kind of +1 to wound on
Brilliant,
that.
that's so
I think
much.
a couple of max squad of Raptors like within Harkin's little bubble could be like a real nasty
Yeah, not
surprise.
You should give it
That's
a try.
true. That's a good point.
And if it works for you, make sure to credit John.
Especially if you're using like Host Raptorial on them, so you can use to get the bonus to charge out of Deep Strike and stuff like that. I think that could probably be okay.
Very good.
Yeah, that's true too. You can just kind of hop up on somebody.
So Chaos Dave, back to Miniwargaming. Recently, you guys relocated to what can only be described as like the most lavish independent wargaming studio in the upper North America world.
I like to call it my dream home.
Yeah. What was kind of the impetus? What led you guys to kind of realize this dream of coming to this like really amazing space?
Well, it happened about 4 years ago. So we had the old city hall. We were leasing space there, and it was kind of, our studios were scattered inside the building, and it was just didn't even feel like a studio space. It felt like, what is this place? Like when people would come in, it felt like an office space that was dingy with random studios that kind of crop up every so often. And we have guests come from all over the world to participate in the videos, which is pretty cool. And they stay in nearby hotels. And so I had this idea that we could get an Airbnb and kind of partner with them, right? And then I thought, well, what if we got this Airbnb to decorate their rooms to be like the studios? And so that people, wargamers think that's pretty cool.
Never get
And then I
my
thought,
wife
well,
there.
what if like that? What if we just owned the Airbnb? Doesn't that make more sense? Like, yeah, okay. and then I thought, well, what if that Airbnb wasn't off-site? It was attached to us. And then that's when I talked to the landlord. I said, hey, are you interested in selling your building? And he's like, yes. And so at the time, he wanted a certain amount of money, which is way too much. I'm like, okay, forget it, because that's like the cost of the building. Plus, like, we'd have to renovate a bunch. So that was kind of like out of the question. But in the meantime, I had asked people, every single guest that came in from wherever they came from, I would say, what do you think of the idea if one day we had this? We had guest rooms here and they were themed like the studios. Would you stay here instead of a hotel? And so every single time it was, oh, yes, of course. Yeah, that'd be awesome. I'd love to stay here. Don't have to travel. I'd be right here and be cool. More time to play and all that, right? And so about 2 years ago, James, a little more than 2 years ago, I was telling this idea to a good friend of mine. His name is Hunter. He happens to be one of the producers of one of the films that I made. And we were at a convention. We were at Origins convention in Columbus, Ohio. And I was telling him about this idea. And he said to me, Dave, when are we going to do this? And I thought, I don't know what do we go to do this means, but yes, I like where we're going with this. Okay, yes. Yeah.
We're just
Let's-
spitballing here.
Yeah, just
Tuesday.
spitballing. So literally that night, hopped in the laptop and we're looking at properties. And we actually looked at the building that we're currently in the new place. And so it just happened to be one of the available properties. And so it wasn't even long after that the building was purchased, a few months after that. And so he is the investor for the project. He is a wargamer as well. And so without him investing in a property in this endeavor, I don't even know how long it would have been before we could have done it. Maybe 10 years,
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
like
not
how
only-
it escalated, though.
Oh, yeah.
That's a pretty rad escalation of ideas that just built on top of each other to like a perfect storm, right?
Right.
Yeah. And it was just a matter of like telling the right person. And so a similar thing happened when I made the film, because it was a dream of mine to always make a film because I love acting, I love movies. And I had met a wargamer that came up, right? And I asked him what he did. And he said, "Oh, I run a factory in Chicago." I'm like, "Oh, cool." And just as a joke, right? I'm like, "Okay, so you got a lot of money?" I was just totally kidding. And he's like, "It pays the bills." So he's being humble about it. And so I knew, right? And then so as another joke, I said, "Oh, okay, cool. So you would be willing to provide production budget for a film?" Complete joke. I just said it to him. I just say crap. And if people take me seriously, then I become serious. But otherwise, it's joking. And so he said, "Well, if you're ever doing a project, that I'd be interested to look at it." And it's funny because he responded in a way that I wasn't expecting. I was just completely kidding, right? And afterwards, he sent me an email. He said, "Dave, I had a great time filming, and I know you were joking when you said those things, but if you ever become serious, let me know, and we can further the discussion." And so that's how the feature film ended up happening. The independent film that I made ended up becoming a thing, ended up becoming a film.
And what film was that for people who want to track it down?
That's the Rangers Bloodstone. So it's a fantasy film. It's a high fantasy film. There's orcs, there's elves, there's land pirates, there's rangers, there's halflings. It's everything in it. There's practical effects. There's no CG in it because obviously it's an independent film budget.
Right.
Sure.
So any CG that would be added would just look really bad. So I figured, you know what, I'm going to go old school. I'll do practical effects, and I want everything to be real. So if people have hair, like if they have long hair, they need to grow their hair out, because I had a no wig policy, because I had been in a film myself before, and that was my one qualm that I had with it, is that the wigs, you could tell that they were wigs. And so I just wanted no wigs on my set, right? And so it worked. And the people that were in it, they grew their beards out, they grew their hair out, and it looked more authentic.
I thought you were going to have a no CGI beard policy, which you really want to
no
see
mustache, no Superman mustache cover up, nothing like that. And so, yeah, it was great. And that was actually going to start as a short film, because I had made a short film beforehand, and this feature film is a continuation of it. But the more people I talked to about that, the more contagious it became. And then the more I just saw people in the movie. Like at the time, I had a bearded dragon, and I had crickets delivered to the house, because that's a thing in Welland, Ontario, Canada, where the bunker is. And the guy that came to the door, massive dude. He's 6'5", 300 plus pounds, bald, big beard, massive dude. And I just looked at him, the first time seeing him, right? And I just looked at him and said, "Man, you got to be in my movie." And he looked at me so weird.
Was he scared at that point?
Who is it? Like, it was so odd, right? Because this big guy had this scared look, which it didn't make sense because he's like 5 times my size. But he's like, "Okay." And so he gives me the crickets, which is weird in and of itself, right? And then I gave him a copy of the short film that I made. I'm like, "Yeah, go home and watch this, and let me know next week when you bring more crickets." And so he watched it, and he's like, "You know what? That was actually better than I thought it was going to be. Yeah, I'd like to be in your movie." And so that he became a character in the movie, and so there ended up being 18 actors, 62 extras.
Wow.
Yikes.
We had sets built in the country nearby, and it's a full-fledged feature film that is right now it's in negotiations for distribution, for worldwide distribution.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you said you did everything practical effects. What was your favorite practical effect you did? Or kind of what was kind of wow, that turned out amazing, so I can steal it?
There was this one particular sequence that I would say stands above the rest, and it's there's a sequence in which this Ancient One character is training my character, and it's kind of like the rite of passage, like he becomes a warrior type of thing. And my character has to walk blindfolded 10 yards away from the trainer who has drawn an arrow back in his bow. But the thing is, he's drawing it at my back. So what my character is required to do is to duck and turn around before the arrow hits him square in the head if he doesn't move in time. And so this was a practical effect where we actually did it in one take, and using camera angles, we managed to sell it and make it look real because it was real.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I imagine you really only got one take for that, because if you messed up the shot, it's pretty much the end of the movie.
Slight production hold while we remove an arrow from a head.
Flashes up to the end and credits roll. That's it.
Or there's some guys like he looks at that and he's like, man, that's some bad CG.
You don't want a crow scenario, right? I mean,
Yeah.
No, that's. Yeah.
So the new mini wargaming bunker, where you have your Airbnb, or I guess the Air D&D, or whatever you want to put in there.
Man, that's a good catchphrase.
All whatever you want to put. No. So you said all the rooms are themed, right? So what goes into kind of deciding the theme of the room, and kind of what are kind of the themes of the rooms there?
Okay, so this is why Matt is a perfect business partner for me, because we're so different from each other. So before we started everything, right, I said to him, like, okay, Matt, so what do you care about in terms of what happens here at the building? What things do you want say in? What things do you care about? And he's like, as long as I can control the temperature, hot or cold in the studios, everything else, it doesn't matter. I'm like, so what you're saying is I have complete control over the aesthetics.
And like, yep. Evil chaos laugh later.
And I'm like, that is fantastic. That's awesome. So basically I felt like I was in a playground, because I got to choose everything. Every bolt in the building literally was a deliberate choice, and it was awesome. And so it just went from it was the rule of cool. Once again, that's what dictated everything.
You can't go wrong
the themes
with that.
of the rooms.
Yeah, the rule of cool is highly effective.
It's a pretty solid rule.
Yeah.
And I also put a poll in the Miniwargaming Facebook group, and I just asked. I said, so what themes for the bunker suites do you think should be there? Right? And I just chose the top 5. And like a Imperial officers' quarters was one of them. Barracks, Astra Militarum Barracks was another. Orc room was another.
Hold on.
Space Wolf.
Astra Militarum Barracks and Imperial officers' quarters. So it's just a bed, like a cot, and a gray wall.
So I was going to say the barracks is going to be where they store it when they have a tournament and have 20 to 30 people come.
Yeah, I mean, it's in the barracks. So as much as like they are that way, themed that way, the actual rooms themselves are very nice because they're all renovated, and we had a consultant come through and give us a bunch of pointers, right? And she said, you know what, these rooms are really well done. They're quality rooms. You can charge a good price for them, and you should charge a good price, because you don't want to attract the riffraff. Because if you charge too low, then you get a certain type of person. You get the people who will say, oh, it's this price, why can't it be lower? And there's just a certain level of quality that we wanted to go for the rooms. And everything is the best quality with the rooms. The best materials, and everything is solid, 500-pound capacity per bed, and things like that. Right?
It sounds like that consultant was like awful Imperial Commander-ish, talking about the riffraff and attracting the wrong sort.
Yeah. And I mean, she spoke the language of OCD. Like she went around and
she knew. Yeah.
And she just definitely knew it. But yeah, it was fun. It was definitely fun. And I got to work with a lot of people in the community too. Like, for example, in the barracks, if you guys are familiar with Kurt Metz, if you search for 40K comic book art on DeviantArt, he's like the first one that comes up, and he's created a lot of awesome stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
That's super cool. Now, one of the things that stood out about your channel, and one of the things that drew me to it originally, was the amazing kind of backgrounds to your rooms. So like after like a time when you would have themed rooms and you would have like your orc room and just really different backgrounds and different visuals. And what was kind of the impetus behind that, and what kind of made you guys decide to invest in kind of that aspect of production and not just your kind of banter or bat rap style camera angles?
I love that, because no, that's absolutely correct. I mean, those were not good at the beginning. But anyway, to answer your question, what was it? What was it? Because I remember it was just the very first studio, which was inspired by Zone Mortalis. I just thought, you know what, it would be cool to have a studio, like an actual studio, where no matter what angle you're filming, you're still immersed in the world, instead of just one wall background, right? Which is a typical film set.
Right. Sure.
And so that's what I thought. I'm like, you know what? It's totally doable. It's like it's a life-size terrain piece. That's all it is. And so I had the image in my mind of what I wanted it to look like. And then I commissioned somebody to make the room. And in the end, it was close to what I had in my mind, but it wasn't exact. And so from there, I decided to make them myself, because there was 3 more that came after that. So there was an orc studio that came after that. That one I literally did not use a tape measure for, because it's orcs.
Sure.
Slapping everything up.
Why would you?
Yeah.
And I instructed the electrician to slap the wires on top of the wall and put the outlets, the light switches.
Sir, but
like
the code.
cockeyed.
Just go to the theme of the room.
Yeah. Kind of surprised you got
That's
away
right.
with that, actually.
Yeah, I mean, everything is like encased in cables and stuff, so it's all to code. But it was like weird. Like he gave me a lot of raised eyebrows. But after it was done, he's like, "Oh, okay, now I know why I was doing this." And then there was another room, which was a 40K ruins room, and then there was the forge that we built, which was a lot of fun. I had a lot of help with it, but it was fun actually getting my hands in there and doing it myself, because it just reminded me of the terrain making days when we did these things. So yeah, it kind of just started with an idea of like, wouldn't it be cool if?
Yeah, that's
awesome.
I mean, I wish we had space up here to do something like that, but unfortunately, John's wife won't let us redecorate her dining room.
As many times as we ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, just this piece of ruins on the wall right here, Amanda.
It'll be fine.
Yeah.
How are you going to get immersion in Sunday dinner without this ruins? That's awesome.
My wonderful patient wife who deals with so much.
I'm sure you're. I don't know if you're married, Dave, or.
I am. Yes,
I'm sure.
The goddess of Slanesh is my wife.
Okay, fair.
All right.
Commitment. I like it.
I've been calling her that for years, and when she found out what it meant,
Awesome.
You're like, it's both a good and a bad thing, so it's multi-use.
It's fine.
yeah, it's always a good thing. And we have nurglings. We have 3 nurglings, and I'm the luckiest man on the planet.
That's crazy. That's super cool.
Yeah.
Well,
That's awesome.
Dave, I don't want to take up too much extra of your time here. What have you got going on? Mini Wargaming Dave, Chaos Dave, obviously has a lot going on. But what do you have going on right now?
Okay, so just a few things. One, I'm writing 2 books. I'm writing a children's book, which is the second one that I'll be making, and that's a continuation of the first one, which was named Trolls. And the second book is called Orcs, spelt with many O's. And it's
Orcs.
And it's an illustrated book about me and my kids playing this imaginative role-playing game that we play together. But it's done in kind of like a wargaming way, because we roll dice sometimes, and there's different phrases that we use, and we paint miniatures in the book, and so it's a children's book aimed at wargaming children. And so there's that, and I'm also writing a autobiography from the whole process of where we began 12 years ago to now. By the time I'm actually finished the book, it'll be probably a year or so from now. Because at the end of the day, man, like how I feel like I'm an average dude with
who's living the dream, I imagine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel
who has like there's nothing in my mind. There's nothing like when I look at Matt, he's an obvious genius. right? Like anyone who talks to him for more than 30 seconds, they know he's an intelligent guy, right? If you talk to me for 30 seconds, you might think, oh, okay, yeah, he'd be fun to hang out with and have a beer with. But you don't think this guy could like build a business and do this, right? So I think the purpose of the book is to, I guess, just show the journey in that anyone can do this and anyone can make their desire and their dream of kind of doing what they love their thing.
Yep.
And so, yeah.
We hope to someday actually get paid for this.
Oh, I got like another 2.5 years before I can do anything else. Oh man, yeah, but it's insane. Kind of like if you look back to like 20, 30 years ago, if you were to tell someone, they're like, "Hey, what are you going to do for a living?" Like, well, I'm going to open a miniature game store / hotel / tournament room while writing children's books and making movies. It's also I'm going to have a wife and multiple children. They're going to be like, "Okay, man, cool,
good, whatever you say."
I said I wanted no foam on that latte.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, well, like I said, I feel like I'm the luckiest guy. I mean, I'm certainly very fortunate. I recognize that, and if it were not for the viewers and everyone supporting us, we obviously wouldn't be where we are. So,
But yeah, definitely. You can check out Miniwargaming on YouTube. It is one of the biggest, if not the biggest right now.
Still the biggest.
Still the biggest, and will remains be the biggest independent mini wargaming channel, obviously. They have a subscriber section called The Vault, which has a ton of amazing content behind it. A huge amount added weekly, definitely more than your value's worth. And as we've alluded to during this podcast, the production values that go into it are just out of this world. So thank you, Chaos Dave, for you guys putting so much effort and thought into that. And now, again, just kind of what we've tried, just nailing a camera to a thing and moving on. That really helps. They have
thank you.
A ton of great narrative campaigns.
Oh, man, yeah.
If you go back, and as Chaos Dave mentioned throughout this podcast here, editions don't matter really in mini war games battle reports, because you're following the story, you're following along, you want to see what happens to those characters. If you're someone like me who doesn't get a chance to play Gorka Morka up here, being able to watch along with their Gorka Morka campaigns is the next best thing, because of the obvious passion and drive and love they put into their product there.
Mm-hmm.
Stop trying to guilt me into playing Gorka.
Play Gorka Morka with me, Danny.
It's not gonna work, John. If I can't get you guys to play Blood Bowl with me, then we're not playing.
I bought all the Blood Bowl stuff, Dave. I'm ready to
You
play.
buy everything, Danny.
That's fair.
You just can't play muties, Danny, because muties are the worst. And then also, Chaos Dave, you also have a podcast as well.
Yeah, yes, I do. The Shrine of Chaos. I've just begun doing that in podcast form. I still record it live, but releasing it as podcast afterwards. And I've been doing it for a number of years, but it's just recently. And I must say, you guys are certainly a large inspiration for that. For
Still
turning
really
it into a
about
podcast.
that, Dave.
Yeah. We're glad our evil can inspire something good, much like Horus's fall inspired the Greater Imperium. We're glad something good could come out of that for you there. But yeah, Chaos Dave, thank you so much.
Wait, I have
go.
It's been burning in the back
I'm
of
going to
my
mute
mind.
your mic a second.
I know you are. So, Chaos Dave, you've sat down and played battle reports and recorded them with Phil the Glacial Geek.
Yes, I have. Yes.
Whose humble beginnings
sorry about
started
that.
here. The dice that Phil uses, would you say they're the worst dice you've ever seen?
Well, Phil, first off, I got to say, Phil's my cousin, and but he doesn't think he is, but he is.
Whether he wants it or not.
Yeah.
All right.
And he is. Those dice are just no good for business.
I personally designed those dice.
We gave them to Danny. Danny ordered a bunch of them and got a bunch of us to chip in and help pay for them. And I was one of the people that paid for them. We gave them to him as a wedding present. And watching him fail with those dice makes me so happy every time I see it.
I love it.
We paid extra to load the ones.
The guy at Cheswick said he doesn't normally do that, but for me, I talked him into it.
Yeah.
Oh, man, beautiful. Well, Chaos Dave, thank you so much. We're going to be right back.
Do you have a single wound? A standard bolt gun? Having trouble maintaining an acceptable Xenos kill count? Only barely over 2 meters tall? Maybe it's time to ask your lieutenant if the Rubicon Primaris is right for you. The Rubicon Primaris is a prescription process that helps you to update that tired look. You may notice an increase in your purging abilities within 2 to 4 hours. You may experience loss of life, additional organs, and a points increase. Do not take the Rubicon if you plan on fitting into rhinos, drop pods, or other traditional vehicles. The Rubicon Primaris is not intended for second founding chapters. The Rubicon Primaris is for use on genetically enhanced super soldiers over the age of 800 only. You are encouraged to report negative side effects to your company's apothecary. The Rubicon Primaris. Because sometimes plot armor is just not enough.
Oh, man. Well, that was super cool of Chaos Dave to come on. I want to thank him for reaching out to us.
Absolutely.
And asking to talk to us here. A little shorter today because we really wanted to focus on mini wargaming and Chaos Dave and all of the cool stuff they're doing over there down and to the left.
Yeah, that's right. I think that's an accurate direction.
And all the their new place is amazing. If you were traveling in that area, I know the Glacial Geek Phil's been up a bunch.
Yep.
We plan on going there. It's an experience. It's great.
Sounds rad.
They wrote a newspaper article about it from their local town. Like the local newspaper ran an article about all the stuff they're doing. So a lot of super cool stuff going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited. But yeah, I think that's about good for this week. So yeah.
I'll take that.
For Mob Rules, I've been John.
I've been Danny.
And I've been Dave.
And we'll see you next time.
Yep.